Well, folks, we're going to have to go against the counter narrative again. Something we do at this channel all the time is we are collecting information and bringing you what's happening on the ground. But most importantly, I'm trying to help you look ahead versus look backwards. All the doomers, all the clowns, all the idiots are looking backwards. We try to look forward. Sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I get it right. And we're going to have a conversation today because I think it is clear that there's something happening today that most people are missing. Mr. Matt, we got to talk about it. What's going on?
Well, like you said, and I think that it's not a test to like I'm the smartest guy in the room, but mortgage applications turn into buyers who submit offers and get into contract. So like the data's not there yet, but we have, the key performance indicators, the KPIs up front that are going to lead to that. If we start to see, more applications, we get more leads, we get more phone calls, we get more referrals, that's going to turn into more demand in the future. And there's no metric, there's no data source that you can point to and say, look, I'm not, publishing any articles saying Matt's leads are up 17% week on week or anything like that. But no doubt, there's national numbers like mortgage applications that most of us are seeing. And if Convoy Home Loans down south or, Matt, the mortgage guy in Northern California is seeing an uptick, more than likely that's a lot of people across the country. So no matter what market you're in, demand is coming, man. And that train is moving fast and picking up steam.
Well, you know what? I will go even one step further because I was a sales guy for a long time. I ran funnels for a long time, and I was an executive for a long time. So as an executive, you're always constantly trying to match revenue with cost of goods sold, right? Because you got to keep within this margin. I hope people hear this. I hope they hear this. The last thing I would do is hire somebody. I would double up accounts. I would double leads. I would promote somebody internal. I would do whatever I could not to hire someone. Because once you make that commitment, it's fixed, right? You've taken your fixed cost and it's gone up. I want people to really hear this. Convoy Home Loans just told me they hired 3 full-time people and they hadn't hired anybody in 2.5 years. I've heard from multiple other people since then because I'm calling people going, holy cow, holy cow, holy cow. And they are either in active talks of hiring or they are creating recs to hire. Because one thing that you and I talked about, I think it was 6 months ago, the mortgage, I don't know what you guys call them, originators, that's down like 60% from the peak.
Right.
So the strongest have survived. And now with the Fed saying rates are done going higher, you're going to have more buyer demand come in, purchase apps, but you're also going to have this refi demand. You got the Streamlines coming out, and now UWM and Matt Ishbia, he's doing something called the Refi 100 because he wants to get ahead of the game. And it's coming, man. It's coming. The demand's coming back.
Yeah, it's coming. And before I talk about Refi 100, on a call with other mortgage originators across the country, on a level up coaching call within U Mortgage, all the talk is around getting loan officer assistants, loan partners trained up to scale up. And so we're doing it internally. We're hiring. UWM, the largest wholesale lender in the country, hired something like 400 or 500 people in January, going to hire more in February. And so it's coming, right? Like the writing is on the wall and there's less originators. The originators that are around are better and they're going to scale and do more business. And so, there's no doubt in my mind that, purchase application, we see that volume going up. We're going to slowly but surely start to see refinance application ramp up as well. And so, there's going to be more transactions had in 2024 for loan originators because that's all we look at. But from a real estate perspective, I think that investors and people buying real estate as a primary, whatever they're doing, they've got to realize it's only going to get harder, in my opinion, throughout the year, because
Yeah.
I'm constantly talking to agents and I'm saying, do whatever you can to get inventory on. Literally had 5 or 6 conversations this week, Mike. One of them was a really good one where the agent said, I'll be honest, Matt, I didn't expect this. Looks like a star in front of her seller client that she listed for 539, got all these offers. And I said, at this price point, at this moment in time, with rates coming down and demand kind of surging back, I'm not surprised in the least bit that you got all these offers, that it took removing the appraisal contingency to get something accepted. But before I forget, because people are like, what did you guys gloss over? Refi 100? UWM through the end of March, for brokers and brokers only, are doing 100 basis points off. For perspective, and this is just for rate and term refinance. We're starting the refinance boom early. If you've got a conventional loan and you've got a 7 handle on that, or if you just maybe are in the high 6s and want to take a look, I priced some deals yesterday with this 100 basis points off. That's probably about 3/4 of a point in rate discount. And just to be super transparent, because Matt Ishbia will be transparent about it, he's given all of his margin back to the brokers, saying, we're a public company. We make 90 to 100 basis points in margin. We're going to give that back to you. We're going to start the refinance boom early. And you know what's funny? He even mentioned, we want you to get the reps because we know we're going to scale this year. And the best way to get reps and get yourself prepared to write more business is to write more business. And so through March, I priced one yesterday where a 70 LTV rate and term refinance, I could get 6 1/8 with a credit, 599 for a small cost. Without that incentive, it's a 675. If you're sitting at 7%, there's not enough benefit for you. I just say,
Correct.
Sit pat, right?
Yeah, right.
With this incentive, if you've got a $600,000 loan, I could save you a full percent. I'm saying, let's do a 6 1/8 that costs nothing, or you get a credit, and we'll refinance you. We'll save you $450 a month.
Right.
Maybe rates continue to fall. And who was it that said 5.5% rates in 2024? Some publication.
Wells Fargo said it. Wells Fargo economist said it. It's something I read yesterday. 5.5. I'm like, I hope not, but
right.
we'll see.
And so, yeah, lots of exciting stuff on the mortgage side, but I think that there is a warning in here that people need to hear. And I had this conversation with a client yesterday. The perfect client and the perfect way to view it, in my opinion, is I told the client, you've got a knowledgeable mortgage broker who is going to give you honest advice. I don't need to make another sale. So whether or not you buy or not, is not going to affect my life materially. You've got a great agent who also is going to give you honest advice. You decide whether you take that honest advice or not. But in the first home that came up, she loved it. And it was the conversation I had with that list side trying to get that offer accepted, where she said, I didn't expect all these offers. I didn't expect to have 7, 8, 10 great offers to choose from. Didn't get that house. And she said, your client was fantastic. The only missing piece for our client was couldn't remove that appraisal contingency, which is fine. You won't have to do that in all cases, but knowing what you're up against and knowing that the next property that comes along, you might have to shorten your contingency periods. You might have to provide a free rent back. You might have to listen to the agent when the agent says it's listed at 539. They've got a bunch of offers. They've told me that the offers that they're looking at start with a 5.5. So at 555, we got a shot. We have an appraisal contingency still in place, but maybe we are willing to pay up to $10,000 above the appraised value. Of course, we want to have inspection contingency. I'll never vary from that, right? I will never tell anybody, even though it's happening, right? It's happening in the Bay Area. We had that example last week where 1.4 San Francisco waiving all contingencies. Do not recommend. Just I'll be honest with people, right? Like, you don't want a foundation or a sewer issue that costs $50,000 coming up afterwards. But this is all information to tell buyers, here's what it's going to take. If you're willing to do it, let's put together an offer that has a chance of getting accepted. And The good news for buyers, I told this buyer yesterday, the good news is knowing as many agents as I know and knowing what they look at, even in a competitive market like we were already seeing, there's 10 offers, Mike. 2 of them are written that have a chance. A great agent who got all the information was able to write an offer that checked the boxes. The seller wants to close within 21 days. They need 15 days of rent back, which if you want to be on the, winning side of an offer, you probably got to give that to them for free. Right. And all these different things. Yes. Keep your contingency in place. And some people are like, oh my gosh, this again? I don't control it. Right. I'm just, I'm just the messenger, man. So don't shoot me, but, it's shaping up to move in that direction more than it already is, because demand is coming back. And me and you have talked about it 1,000 times. Mortgage interest rates coming down will only add fuel to that fire.
Yeah. I want to go back to the refi because I want to make sure people didn't miss that. FHA and VA have had the Streamline for weeks now, if not months. What UWM with their Refi 100 is basically making conventional loans have a chance. If you're in the 7s, should give it a look. If you're in the high 6s, give it a look. Matt, if they wanted to reach out to you and price their scenario, how should they do that?
Just go to greatmortgagebroker.com, fill out the quick form. If you prefer, and some people do, and I don't, blame them, you can fire me an email, matt@mtmg.com. And sometimes it's easy just to, matt@mtmg.com. Hey, Matt, mine's a little bit different. I've got this rate, or I've got a variable that is set to do this. If that's easier for you, matt@mtmg.com. We'll make sure we take a look at it. When you're not in one of the states that I'm operating in, or I've got somebody on my team operating in it, you get to that person quicker by going to greatmortgagebroker.com. But nonetheless, send me an email. And I'll tell people too, when they rolled out FHA VA Streamlines that ended on January 31st, I had some people, Mike, that would have saved $800 to $1,000. It was an absolute no-brainer. It ended yesterday. Sometimes they extend and sometimes they don't. And they literally said, you know what? Not going. And so there was 5,499, 5,749, 599, depending on credit score and whatnot, and how much rebate you needed to make it work. Some people just missed it. And I remember pretty vividly in 20 and 21, people saying, oh, it's only going to get better. It's only this. Some of this stuff is true. Like, this is a promotion. It goes through the end of March. And the cool part about this one, Mike, is the FHA VA Streamline was, here's the rates and here's the promotion. This is, we're going to give you 100 basis points off of market
Your
rate.
scenario. Yeah.
So if rates go down over the next couple of weeks, you still get that 100 basis points off. It's going to be great, especially for somebody who's in a conventional loan that's a 7% or higher. So I hope people don't just miss out. I put a post on my personal Facebook where I said, if you would spend 15 minutes talking to DirecTV about saving $30 a month or getting HBO for free, spend 5 minutes writing an email to me saying, here's what I owe. Here's my thoughts. What do you think? I give advice every single day to help, the consumer. It leads to enough business where I don't have to sell. I had an agent that was surprised this morning when I told him, hey, listen, that DHI, I think it's DR Horton's in-house lender, far and away the best.
Can't beat it. Can't touch it. Yeah.
Go ahead. Well, that's honorable of you. Well, it's worked so far, right? This first decade, having the consumer's interest in mind and just, trying to help them out, I'm doing okay. And so that's what I'll continue to do. So if you email matt@mtmg.com, fire a little snippet about your scenario and what state you're in, and we'll see how we can help.
Folks, if you're not going to take advantage of this, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars over the course of a loan. If you're not going to take 5 to 10 minutes, greatmortgagebroker.com or matt@mtmg.com, you're insane. I'd be remiss, Matt. Usually we talk right before the Fed announcement, because usually we talk at 10 a.m. Fed announcements 11. We're actually talking on Thursday because I had some scheduling conflicts. So I'll ask you, what'd you think? What'd you think of Fed Day? What happened after, rates, all of that? What are your thoughts after the fact?
Yeah, so I recorded a little video yesterday with a recap, and and my goal, I'm trying to get even more towards just as layman's terms as possible. For the most part, it was a nothing burger. And, you know, some people that might be watching for the first time or they haven't paid attention, you know, the Fed controls the Fed funds rate. That was not touched, which we all knew. And most Fed meetings, the more important piece we're looking at is what the Fed says. Everything they said was kind of what we expected them to say. There was a couple little snippets where if I could pull up my notes on some of the, like, you've got to really dig to be like, well, they said this. And so, you know, but I thought it was interesting because
I think there were three things. I think there were three
there's
things.
a lot of data where I'll say it that I think a dummy like me can understand and most people can understand, you know, as inflation comes down, rates will follow. The Fed has said it a bunch of times. We want to see this inflation number moving towards our goal of 2%. And then a bunch of people say, well, look at it year over year. Like, it's there. What more data do you need? And so those were the questions asked to Jerome Powell. And he basically said, like, we just need a little bit more, bit more to really show us that inflation is headed down. And the thing that I thought was a good question and one that he answered honestly was, you know, their other mandate is employment, right? And so if there is some weakening of the labor market, that would be something that would push them to cut rates quicker. Or if there was an indication that inflation was stickier or not moving down as fast, that would be something that had them wait longer. And so those are the things that if you're just looking at, you know, the simple levers, you know, if employment continues to stay relatively strong and inflation is sticky, it'll be longer until the Fed cuts rates. But if more data comes out, which we already know because of the lagging components of inflation to show that, yeah, inflation is headed towards this 2% number and it's getting there quick, then, you know, it might be a March Fed rate cut. And that stuff is inevitably going to translate to 30-year fixed rate mortgages coming down, which they already have. And I said it in that video and I'll say it again, be careful what you wish for. We don't want too much too fast. In a perfect world, we wouldn't see that 5.5% by the end of 2024.
No, we don't want to go back there. Please. No.
Yeah. I'm still rooting for it, Mike. I'm still rooting to end the year with a 6.
6.
Right at 6%. That's all we need.
There you go. Again, at the end of the day, for me, it was, we're done raising rate, terminal rates there. March rate cut feels a little early, but not out of the question. And again, the next move is down, not up. That was what I took away. One more time, where can they find you? Where can they get their Refi 100 or any of that stuff?
Go to greatmortgagebroker.com, fill out that quick form, email me, matt@mtmg.com. If you're not subscribed to Matt the Mortgage Guy on YouTube, do yourself that favor and subscribe. If you don't like what you see, then unsubscribe, but give it a shot.
Give it a shot. Thank you, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, Mike.